Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on content that has been deleted, cut, or removed from Terraria. We are looking at a massive list of features that once defined the experience for millions of players on consoles and mobile devices, but were ultimately wiped from the game code to make everything match the PC version. This is a technical deep dive into what was lost and why it happened. We have to start with Okram because he was the literal face of console Terraria for years. He was a mechanical hybrid boss that functioned as the final challenge of hard mode before the 1.3 update changed everything. You summoned him using a suspicious-looking skull, which you crafted using 2 mechanical skulls, a mechanical eye, and some adamantite or titanium. He would float around shooting lasers and spawning servants of Okram, which were basically smaller versions of his own head. He appeared on old-gen consoles like the Xbox 360 and PS3, along with the Windows Phone, mobile versions, and the 3DS. The boss was added in 2013 and cut in 2017 for consoles and 2019 for mobile. Relogic never liked how Okram fit into the progression because they didn't actually design him. He was created by Engine Software. When the One Terraria plan started, they deleted him because he didn't align with the core vision of the game. He dropped the Soul of Blight, which was the key material for all the top-tier gear at the time. If you have an Okram trophy or mask now, they are legacy items. You can never get them again. He is never coming back to the official game, but you can find him in the Consolaria mod if you really miss the grind. Lepus was the boss of the Easter event on mobile and 3DS. He was a giant, bright pink bunny that was far more dangerous than he looked. To fight him, you needed a suspicious-looking egg, which you could get by killing corrupt or crimson bunnies during April. Lepus would hop around and lay giant eggs. If you did not break those eggs fast enough, they would hatch into smaller Lepus bosses. This created a massive problem for players. If your damage output was too low, you would end up with 5 or 6 Lepus copies jumping on you at once, which usually ended in a total base wipe. He was removed in 2019 because the Easter event was never part of the PC version. He dropped the egg cannon and the boots of Ostara. Like Okram, he is a relic of the third-party developer era. Relogic has no plans to re-add him because his self-replication mechanic was a nightmare for game balance. Turker was the Thanksgiving boss for mobile and 3DS players. He was a cooked turkey on a plate with flying turkey heads that attacked you while you tried to hit the main body. To summon him, you had to use a turkey feather to get a pet turkey, then use cursed stuffing on that pet. It was the only boss in the game that required you to sacrifice a pet to start the fight. He was added in the mobile 1.1 era and deleted in 2019. The main reason for his removal was parity with the PC version. Since PC never had a Thanksgiving event, the mobile version had to lose it too. He dropped the Horn o' Plenty, which was a reusable healing item that restored 120 health. This item was broken because it had no stack limit and could be used forever. It made the game way too easy, so it makes sense why it had to go. Do not expect to see him return officially. If you're enjoying this breakdown of all of Terraria's lost content, consider subscribing. The Zappinator is probably the most famous deleted item in the entire history of the game. It was a ranged weapon modeled after the NES Zapper. It was added to the PC version on the very first day the game launched back in May 2011. It was removed the next day in patch 1.0.1. The developers were using it to test the game because it dealt about 500 damage per second, which was unheard of at the time. It was left in the files by mistake and was never supposed to be in the hands of players. Relogic also worried about Nintendo suing them for using the Zapper design. It was replaced by the Angel statue in the next patch. While the original version is gone, Relogic eventually added the gray and orange Zappinators in the 1.4 update as a tribute. These new versions have weird projectile behavior instead of being instant kill machines. The original sprite only exists now on the 3DS version because Nintendo is not going to sue itself. During the 1.2 update, 3 weapons were added to the code but never made obtainable: Icemorn, the Scythe, and the Soul Scythe. Icemorn was a sword that dealt 44 damage and was a direct copy of Frostmourne from the Warcraft series. The Scythe and Soul Scythe were references to the anime Soul Eater. All 3 were removed because Relogic did not want to deal with copyright issues from Blizzard or the anime creators. If you tried to hack these into your inventory, the game would automatically turn them into angel statues or red potions. They were entirely replaced by different items in the 1.2.4 update. These were basically placeholder items that the developers used to test new weapon types before realizing they could get in legal trouble for the designs. Console and mobile players used to have access to the Sharanga and the Vulcan Repeater, which were arguably the best ranged weapons in the game for a long time. The Sharanga was a pre-hard mode bow that turned every arrow into a spectral arrow. These arrows did high damage and inflicted Cursed Inferno. The Vulcan Repeater was a hard mode weapon that turned arrows into explosive Vulcan bolts, Both of these were removed in the 1.3 update because they were built using the Soul of Blight from Okram. Since Okram was deleted, these weapons lost their crafting materials and were cut from the game. They were significantly stronger than most other bows at their level, so their removal was also a way to balance the ranged class to match the PC progression. You can still see them on the 3DS, but everywhere else they are gone. Before 1.3, the ultimate armor sets for console players were Dragon, Spectral, and Titan armor. Dragon was for melee, Spectral was for magic, and Titan was for ranged. They were crafted using Hallowed Armor and Souls of Blight. When the 1.3 update arrived, these were no longer functional armor sets. Instead, they were converted into vanity items. You can still buy them from the Traveling Merchant today, but they provide 0 stats and 0 defense. This was done so players who already owned the armor wouldn't lose their cool outfits, but it effectively ended the console-exclusive endgame meta. On mobile, these were deleted entirely without being turned into vanity. They are classic examples of how the One Terraria initiative prioritized game balance over legacy content. We also lost some very specific vanity sets like the Fabulous set and George's set. These were bright pink outfits that referenced George Takei. They were exclusive to the console and mobile versions and were deleted during the parity updates. Another major change happened with the Heroes and Plumbers sets. In the old-gen consoles, these were colored purple and blue instead of green and red to avoid being sued by Nintendo for looking too much like Link and Mario. In Japan, they were replaced by Monokuma and Shiren sets entirely. Most of these exclusive outfits were scrubbed from the game because Relogic wanted a clean slate for the vanity system. The only one they decided to keep was the Horned God set, which you can still get from the Traveling Merchant. One of the weirdest features on old-gen consoles and mobile was the existence of pets that could actually hurt enemies. This included the pet bat, guinea pig, slime, Tifia, werewolf, and zombie. Most pets in modern Terraria are just for show, but these 6 could actually deal a small amount of damage to mobs. They were removed in the 1.3 update because Relogic wanted a strict divide between pets and minions. When the update happened, any player who had one of these pets in their inventory saw it turn into a gold bunny. This was a critical change for early game survival, as having a pet that could kill slimes for you was a massive advantage that PC players never had. They are gone forever because they broke the fundamental rule that pets should not interfere with combat. Along with the combat pets, we lost a long list of seasonal pets. This includes Cupid, Valentine's Day, the Leprechaun, St. Patrick's Day, and Elfa, Christmas. We also lost platform-specific pets like the Android robot and the Seahorse from Amazon Fire TV. The Android pet was a literal copy of the Android logo that followed the player around. These were all deleted because Relogic did not want the game to have different content based on what phone or console you bought. They wanted every player to have the same list of summons. Any of these pets that you had were also converted into gold bunnies during the 1.3 transition. The third-party developers of the console and mobile versions added several exclusive enemies that were mostly just harder versions of existing mobs. The Arch-Wyvern was a blue and white version of the regular Wyvern with more health and damage. We also had the Archdemon, the Albino Antlion, and the Orca. These were all deleted in the 1.3 update. Relogic felt that these were lazy additions that didn't add much to the game other than being bullet sponges. They also took up valuable ID slots in the game's code. By removing them, the developers were able to fill those slots with more unique enemies that actually had new AI and mechanics. Most of these were just stronger recolors that existed to fill a progression gap that Relogic eventually filled with legitimate PC content. World generation used to be very different on mobile. You could find heart shrines in the snow biome, which were heart-shaped rooms made of ice that contained 2 crystal hearts and a chest. This was the only way to get an ice chest before entering hard mode. Interestingly, the chest always contained exactly 69 copper coins, which was a joke left in by the porting team. There was also the Jungle Sanctum, which was a larger version of the Jungle Shrine. Both of these structures were deleted in mobile version 1.3.0.7. Relogic wanted the world generation to be identical across all platforms, and these structures gave mobile players a huge head start in health and gear that PC players didn't have. They are gone from new worlds, but if you have a world from 2018 or earlier, they might still be there. Mobile Terraria used to have 6 exclusive seasonal events: Valentine's Day, Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Chinese New Year, Oktoberfest, and Thanksgiving. Each of these had their own items, enemies, and even NPCs like Mech Moneypants, who was supposed to appear during Chinese New Year but was never actually finished. All of these were deleted in 2019 to match the PC version, which only has Halloween and Christmas. The Oktoberfest event was especially strange because the merchant would sell a potion called Wiesenbräu that halved both the damage you did and the damage you took. These events were cut because Relogic felt they were too niche and cluttered the game's calendar. Now the only remnants of these events are a few vanity sets and some legacy items. This is an item that even PC players will remember. the biome key mold. Before the 1.3 update, enemies in hard mode would not drop biome keys. Instead, they had a 1 in 4,000 chance to drop a mold for that key. To get the actual key, you had to combine the mold with a temple key from Plantera and 5 of each boss soul. Relogic deleted the molds and replaced them with the current system where the key drops directly. They did this because the old system was complicated and forced players to do way too much crafting just to open a chest they had already worked hard to find. The new system is much better because it's simpler, even though the keys are still locked until Plantera is defeated. This is one of the few times content was removed simply because it was a bad mechanic. The old mobile version of Terraria had a completely different minimap system. It used head icons for NPCs and large skull icons for bosses. It even showed worm-type enemies as a chain of circles so you could see exactly where they were digging. Tapping an icon would even tell you the name of the enemy. Additionally, the day and night cycle was shorter in pre-hard mode on mobile, lasting only 24 minutes total instead of the standard PC time. This was done to make the game feel faster for people playing on their phones. Both of these features were deleted in 1.3 to ensure that the mobile version was a one-to-one port of the PC game. The unique UI was replaced with the standard PC-style layout, which changed the feel of the mobile game forever. The 3DS version of Terraria is essentially a graveyard for cut content. Because the 3DS was not powerful enough to run the full game, Relogic had to cut the painter, the dye trader, and every single paint and dye item from the game. They also removed most informational accessories because the screen was too small to display all that data. Interestingly, the 3DS version is the only place where Red's wings actually give you infinite flight. On every other version, developer items were nerfed or made purely cosmetic for a long time, but on 3DS, you can fly forever if you manage to get them. Since the 3DS version is never going to be updated again, it's the only way to play with things like the Zapinator and Ukram in their original state. It's a time capsule of what Terraria used to be before the unification happened. We have covered a massive amount of history today, and the big question is whether any of this is coming back. The answer is almost certainly no. Relogic has stated many times that they have no interest in re-adding the console-exclusive bosses or items. They don't own the designs for a lot of them, and they feel the game is better off with a unified vision. The only way to see this content in modern Terraria is through the Consolaria mod on PC. This mod takes all the deleted bosses, items, and pets and brings them into the 1.4 update with balanced stats and updated sprites. It's the best way to experience the history of the game without having to dig out an old Xbox 360. Relogic is focused on the future, which means the content on these slides will likely stay in the past. Thanks for watching, and subscribe.